What happens when America imposes India with a 50% tariff? And India's top diplomat responds by telling Russian companies to engage more intensively with India. This is not just about tariffs or trade, it's about India being caught in the middle of a global tug of war. On one side, Donald Trump's America is turning up the heat. On the other hand, Russia is being invited deeper into India's growing $4 trillion economy. Hello viewers, I'm Kavya Khandelwal and you're watching The Edge. So, today let's break down what Jaishankar actually said, why this matters and what this could mean for India's future between Washington, Moscow and Beijing. Alright, let's set the stage. Just a few days ago, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar stood before Russian officials and business leaders with a straightforward message. India is open for business and Russian companies should engage more intensively with us. Now, this wasn't some polite diplomatic line. It came right after a massive move from the United States. Trump's administration imposed a 25% tariff on Indian goods and then announced another 25%, bringing the total to a staggering 50%. Think about that. Half the value of Indian exports to America could now be swallowed by tariffs. That's not just trade friction, that's a gut punch to India's exporters. And Jaishankar's timing, interesting. While Washington turns the screws, New Delhi is telling Moscow we have got room for you and we want you to step in harder. But here's the problem. India and Russia may have one of the steadiest political friendship in the world. Yet, their economic ties are surprisingly weak. Jaishankar even admitted it himself. India and Russia trade has grown short. But the trade basket is narrow, mostly oil, defense and fertilizers. And even then, India's trade deficit with Russia is ballooning. Translation: India is buying a lot from Russia, especially cheap crude oil, after Western sanctions. But Russia isn't buying nearly enough back. The relationship looks lopsided. So, Jaishankar's challenge to Russian companies was blunt. Don't just sit back and sell us oil. Come here, invest, build factories, partner with Indian companies. Let's dive deeper into why Jaishankar is pushing this now. First, India's economy is going steady, with GDP nearly at $4 trillion and growing at 7% a year. Demand for essentials like fertilizers, machinery and chemicals are exploding. Add to that the massive push for Make in India, urbanization and infrastructure upgrades, and you have got opportunities everywhere. Jaishankar basically painted a picture: new airports, roads, metros, and Russia could help. Modern factories, defense production, Russia has experience. Energy and critical resources, Russia has plenty of it. Russia needs India more than ever. After the Ukraine war, Moscow has been squeezed out of Western markets. Europe doesn't want its gas. America doesn't want its banks. That leaves Russia heavily dependent on China, which makes Putin nervous. By deepening trade with India, Russia can balance out its over-reliance on Beijing. Third, there's the geopolitical angle. India just signed the terms of reference for a free trade agreement with the Eurasian Economic Union, a bloc led by Russia. If finalized, this deal could lower tariffs and boost trade massively. So on paper, everything looks like a win-win. But here's the twist. This isn't just about trade. It's about India's balancing act between America and Russia. On one side, India has grown closer to the US in recent years through the Quad, defense cooperation and tech ties. Washington is critical for India's global rise. But now, Trump's tariffs are sending a message. We may be partners, but don't take us for granted. On the other side, Russia is India's old friend, the country that supplied New Delhi with weapons when the US wouldn't, the one that has backed India at the UN for decades. But Moscow today is weaker, isolated, and tilting towards China. So India is trying to thread the needle. Don't alienate Washington, don't lose Moscow, and don't end up squeezed between US sanctions and Russia's declining economy. That's why Jaishankar's speech wasn't just an invitation, it was also a signal. a signal to Washington that India has options. If America keeps hitting us with tariffs, we'll deepen ties with others. So here's where we are. Trump hits India with crushing 50% tariff. Jaishankar responds by urging Russian companies to engage intensively with India's booming economy. The goal is to diversify trade, balance deficits, and push beyond just oil deals. But the bigger picture is about India's tightrope walk between Washington and Moscow. It's a classic example of India's foreign policy mantra: multi-alignment, not choosing one side blindly but keeping all doors open. The real question is, will this balancing act hold if America and Russia keep drifting further apart? What do you think? Should India double down on Russia to counter US tariffs, or is that playing with fire? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe and follow The Edge.